back to Beyond Energy Negotiations, where we dive into critical conversations shaping sustainable development, global energy practices. I'm Soma Okibe, and I am the Governance and Reforms Coordinator at Yongo Energy Working Group. And with me today is, please, Riyad Medev, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Riyad Medev. I'm the director of the Sustainable Energy Hub in the United Nations Development Program, where I oversee policy and programmatic work on sustainable energy for development. Thank you for inviting me today, Summer.
Amazing. And thank you for being here. We really appreciate We understand that you're very busy. So having you have this conversation with us is such an honor. And guys, today we'll be discussing sustainable energy and its pivotal role in development with our esteemed guest. So now, without further ado, let's just dive in. We all know that the world is rapidly becoming electric. Electricity consumption is expected to increase like 6 times faster than energy demand by this decade due to the rise of electrical vehicles and a surge in the use of renewable energy. As of 2023, 30% of the world's electricity came from renewable sources, with solar power accounting for the largest share at 8.1%. Now, aside from traditional leaders like China, superpowers are becoming more and more prevalent worldwide. Now, for instance, last year we saw like a sharp rise in solar installations in Brazil, India, and Turkey. While Chile became the first nation to kind of like achieve a 20% solar share in its mix. By 2030, it's anticipated that renewable energy sources will supply half of the world's electricity due to the clean tech industry's explosive growth and declining costs. Now, today we are going to just talk about this with the director, who is going to give us an insight on some of the things that we need to know. Now, to kick things off, right, let's address sustainability within energy transitions. So my first question, or rather, let's just have a little conversation before we dive into the question. So, another aspect, that is underpinning sustainable energy transitions is the supply of critical minerals essential to renewables, batteries, and EV technologies. Now, with increased adoption of electric vehicles and renewable storage solutions, demand for minerals like lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements is surging, like it's on the rise. Yet, sustainable sourcing and supply chain management remain challenging. The growth of renewable energy and the increasing adoption of electric vehicles bring a corresponding need for energy storage technologies, which I believe you agree with me, and a secure of supply of critical minerals. Now, my question is this: how can we ensure these processes are inclusive, sustainable, and address past inequities while supporting a trusted future?
Thank you very much. And first of all, it is an honor for me to participate to this podcast. And I already enjoy exchanging with the young generation. First of all, based on your question, there is no single or simple answer to your question. Because I disagree with your question. To be much more specific, I disagree with the way it is framed. The topic of e-mobility, e-vehicle, renewable energy, storage, and critical mineral, although interconnected, are all context specific. And in 2020-2024, clean energy investment in electricity in the global south outpaced fossil fuel by 7-1. That's a very important number, 7-1. And this is not just progress, it is a paradigm shift. And we need to reframe this question, as it is incorrectly assumed that this transition is something to be managed cautiously. Instead, I want to challenge you. You, Summer, you come from Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Ask yourself, what can be done to leapfrog beyond the confine of the traditional renewable energy practices to deliver sustainable energy revolution? Sustainable energy revolution. And in 2023, nearly 1 in 5 vehicles sold worldwide was electrical.
Yeah.
One in a five. By 2035, electrical vehicle are projected to make up almost 50% of the global auto market. 50% is huge. By incorporating more renewable energy sources into power system, EV emission are expected to decrease by 25 to 35%, and by 2035 this could result in 50 to 65 reductions in the carbon intensity of electricity generation. As was the case, in the Pacific Island, in small island developing state called Samoa, where EV, as part of the CAPIT project that we have supported in UNDP, acted as one of the jump starters of its green transformation. And that was very interesting during the Commonwealth Summit last year. And there is an opportunity. There's an opportunity for all the global south, including your country, to leapfrog, reimagine their economies and the development future. That's how I see it in terms of framing. And what will be important is not how we can ensure, but rather where, who, and what sectors. And that's why I like us to have in terms of thinking, in terms of new way of approaching. Where, who, and what sector we are to ensure inclusivity and sustainability now. And with growth comes change, both positively and negatively. We need to think about it. We can have positive spillover and negative spillovers. And Africa holds over 50% of the global reserve and production of cobalt, manganese. With battery storage, as you mentioned, capacity, currently at 3 terawatt hours, and anticipated to battery to triple by 2030, what will this mean for the battery sector for the whole? And with the Chinese battery market favoring lithium sources, as you know, already driving down the battery prices by 2030, by 30%. How do we ensure that the financial benefits of this innovation trickle back to every members of the society? But at the end, what we are seeing, it is important that we see the human development approach behind it, especially when these minerals are predominantly exported in raw form, financially benefiting only the fraction of the society. What is important where you have reserves, and you mentioned in your framing about indigenous community, when you have reserve in developing countries, what we want is in those territories you have a control of a big part of the value chain in order to have added value before exporting it. And you create an industry, you create jobs, you create livelihood, and you create interconnection with the local private sector. And this is what we call inclusive growth, inclusive development. That's why I was pushing back in your framing, but the focus must also be to create sustainable and enabling environment for everyone and everywhere. Renewable energy has, how can we say, a cascading impact across the entire 2030 SDGs agenda, improving healthcare, reliability, international security, transport system digitalization, and community engagement, education, ensuring that the direct, indirect induced policy, financial and technological benefit can reach everyone everywhere will be key. That's how I see it, Summer.
Amazing insights. And thank you for reframing the thank you for reframing the question. I think that your insights are really profound and powerful because we can't be talking about sustainability when it's not inclusive. We can't be talking about sustainability without talking about communities and how it affects them. We just can't be talking about it on the surface level. So these are like really great insights. And I am so excited that we're going to really ensure that moving forward, our logo is always going to carry on inclusivity. So thank you very much.
My
Um,
pleasure.
Yeah, and also like in recent years, like digitalization has transformed from optional feature to a cornerstone of energy sector. And it seems like 2025 promises to push this transformation even further. Like so there are breakthroughs such as advanced battery materials, geospatial analytics for energy planning, and sophisticated AI-driven investment analytics, which are now reshaping how energy is generated, stored, and utilized. Now, companies like Anionics are pioneering, long duration energy storage. VIDA leverages, satellite data for kind of like mini grid optimization. And then the Meteor integrates geospatial analytics for risk-informed financing and kind of like off-grid solar solutions. So now, Riyad, my question is like, given these innovations, how do you see AI shaping the next phase of sustainable energy development? What should be considered when accelerating AI applications and their impact on energy demand?
I
You
like
like
it.
this question?
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Really, I like it. So, how we choose to manage what I call the triptych of digital, AI, and data will be key for how we approach development moving forward. Because they are interconnected, the three of them. We cannot see AI alone. AI works because we have data, and data because we have digital. And the three things, what we call the triptych, how can they impact the future of development and what you said about the energy demand? And our role is not to force development, but to guide it, to propose solutions, to offer solutions and instruments and tools for developing countries to be able to make their own decision for their own future. As there is, for me, based on my experience of a development practitioner, there is no one size fits all approach. Why the International Energy Agency projected that the data center electricity usage would double by 2026 in response of increased demand. Ask yourself, and you represent the youth, how much of this actual growth will happen in the global south? UNDP is a development agency working in the global south in 170 countries and territories. And our role in terms of development agency of the UN system is to think about development policies. And the first question that we have to ask, how much of this actual growth of AI will happen in the global south? How are we managing the surge in AI demand to ensure that we do not further exacerbate existing energy system inequalities? And this is the reality. You know that you have 685 million people without access to electricity globally. You have 2.1 billion people without access to clean cooking. But you have 1.18 billion people energy poor. And I'm happy to explain a little bit further if you want. But AI can offer many energy system optimization benefits, as you just said, but it should not replace our ability to think or act. It should not blind us to the fact that we should be accelerating energy access first. The 685 million people without access, and the problem of affordability. And foremost, it is a fundamental human rights. Access to electricity, access to energy, it is not a privilege. So how can we use the AI, the data, and the digital, this triptych, in order to accelerate access, in order to accelerate the energy transition? It is fundamental, and I think this is how we should approach it. And while AI, and we should not look at the AI as a fashion, that everybody is using AI. No, it's what we said previously in the previous question. What's going to be the positive and negative spillovers of the acceleration of the AI? And that's what we need to balance here. And why AI adoption in energy system could yield to 50% saving through real-time data access, leading to improved grid stability, as you mentioned, smart grid, efficient energy storage and smart grid management, there are still 1.18 billion people living in energy poverty.
True.
And this is how AI can help in terms of affordability. It is not also a question of access. It is also an important issue of affordability. How can AI work for human development? And AI is expected to contribute up to $15.7 trillion to global economy by 2030. $15.7 trillion by 2030. Countries in the global south are unlikely to benefit from this growth. Do you think enough is being done to integrate all actors in this dynamic dialogue? All actors. How are they considering the different stage of development, of AI readiness and integration in the global south? This is the perspective of UNDP as a development agency, and how we hold our energy in actions or actions. And I want you to think to both, to account and scrutinize our current use of AI, and will determine how serious we are in accelerating AI applications. Let me take you to something which is fashionable and everybody is using it. If it's ChatGPT or any other instrument, take the recent ChatGPT trend to turn photograph into Studio Ghibli images. I know I was going to make you laugh. And this weekend it was everywhere, everybody. Even my little son of 12 years old was showing me what is this. But for me, I was thinking differently. And I was discussing with some of my colleagues. They recognize themselves, Stefano or Josh, together. Why it is an excellent example of what is now possible through AI. With AI, is this what we should be using AI for? Do you think that we need to use? Currently, a single ChatGPT search consumes 2.9 water hours to same of roughly 10 Google search. OpenAI reported that as a result of the sheer volume of Studio Ghibli images generation requests, their AI-driven data center GPU infrastructure were overheating, melting during all this weekend. A nightmare. Of course, we are using it, we do not know what is happening, but this is the reality. This is what we should be prioritizing our energy use for? I got excited when I saw it, but I question myself. In terms of development, what do we do? How can these energy choices be justified when AI data center already consume 260 terawatt hours? The power consumption of a whole country like Indonesia, and are projected to more than double by 2027. This is what we need to question ourselves. AI impact on the energy system is inevitable, but its integration cannot be achieved in isolations. An inclusive collaboration will be important and much more important for scalability, accessibility, and energy efficiency and energy gains. And this is where I am pushing. Do we need these AI apps, or do we need AI that help scalability, accessibility, and energy efficiencies and optimization gains? What you mentioned from the beginning on smart grid. And with electricity anticipated to account for over 27% of final energy use by 2027 compared to 20% today, it will be important to balance AI challenges with its opportunities through smart system management. And this is what I say, the spillovers, positive and negative. And by fostering North-South and South-South cooperation, this is essential. AI should be North-South, South-North, and South-South. Do not forget, a lot of AI instruments are developed in the South. Not so many. But what we need is a partnership in order that you have much more development in South-South in terms of increasing the South-South partnerships. Government, energy provider, technology companies can work together and can work together not only to amplify the impact of the twin transition to drive innovation, strengthen energy system, but also to ensure that AI and energy advancement do not adversely affect but actually address the underpinning social, economic, and energy challenges. I go back to one element, the impact on human development. And that's how I see it. You see, you need to balance things. It's a solution, but it can impact also negatively energy access, energy transition, energy efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the things that I picked from, your conversation about this, it's the problem of the world. When I saw what was going on, I was like, first of all, I was looking at it in the economic aspect. How do people who are into digital art, how are they going to feel? How are they going to feed? I was looking at it from that angle. Then the second angle is everybody was doing it at the same time. It was
Yes.
like ChatGPT didn't respond, there was a problem. Oh, what can I do to make them to respond to me? They either subscribe to, and I'm like, OMG. What is energy space? And one of the key things that she said that I love is AI should not take away the way we think. And
Yes.
I think that is the problem. That is where there is no balance because it's beginning to abuse, a whole lot of things. People don't, like most people don't think anymore. They're like, AI do this for me. Sometimes I'm even scared of going on Google to search for something because if you go on Google, the first thing you see is an AI response. So it's like I face left AI, I face right. It's I mean, like, what is the negative effect? I think we're just thinking about the opportunities. Oh, AI makes work faster, it makes us to be more efficient. But what about the negative effects it has on the environment? Is it actually developing the environment or it is reducing the IQ, it's reducing and not even helping the energy sector? So these are issues. And while these innovations, kind of like hold immense potential, it's also like important, like you said, to acknowledge their impacts on energy demand. Now, AI-driven data centers alone, which kind of like currently represent about 2% of global electricity consumption, and these are projected to triple their demand over the next
Yes.
decade. Yeah, so that's my worry. Like, it has to be balanced. There is no balance. I mean, like when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. People, I'm sure, like if I check the statistics of what happened between, let's say, Saturday and yesterday, I'm sure it's going to go in millions of people who, ask ChatGPT, change this picture, do this and do that, make it look like. Some people said, oh, we're not going to use models, we're not going to, go to the site anymore. ChatGPT, they have no idea of what the internet does with energy. I think that's the problem. So we need to educate, everyone about how this affects the environment, not just the way we use it. That's why they say too much of even, like electronics, the phone, it could heat up. Like he said, it was heating up and we didn't even know that. So,
I fully agree. I'm drinking my tea and drinking your word at the same time. Because I like the fact that you're thinking, you are the current generation. I do not talk about the future generation, it's not your time.
right.
You are the current generation, shaping the world, shaping development. And I fully agree with you. If you not take into account the reality of AI, the fact that it needs more and more data servers, and saving all those data. You need more and more critical minerals related to your first questions. More and more critical minerals that could have an impact in terms of environment, but the productions also in terms of carbon, the impact on carbon footprints. So AI can, in one side, improve energy efficiency, support acceleration of access and energy transition. But on the other side, you have the dark side of it. So we want a stronger power of AI for human development. Because what is fundamental and what is not acceptable, it is 685 million people without access to energy. And that is not acceptable. That's why we need an energy revolution. And I think that's what we need to push a lot. It is to push people who are 1.18 billion energy poor to get out from this poverty and to get access to an affordable energy. And that's what AI, and we proved it, can, and we should push for the use of AI for the benefit of development. And I agree with you. I like it.
I'm glad you do.
Summer,
Thank
we are
you.
aligned.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that, like you said, right now we can make a change,
Yes.
a very visible change. Okay, just because of time, let's try to shift to policy and negotiations, which I love very
Uh,
much. Yeah, at Yongo, we've strongly advocated for dedicated energy negotiation track within climate discussions. Given that energy contributes to approximately 80% of global anthropogenic carbon emissions,
yes.
the focus on energy seems logical. Now, yeah, given that 80% of anthropogenic carbon emissions come from energy generation, should we have a specific energy negotiation track in climate negotiations?
Why to have a specific energy track? What is happening in let's go back to Dubai COP28.
Okay, 28.
We had the EAU consensus on tripling renewable energy, doubling energy efficiency. We went back to Baku. We agreed on the funds which are necessary for that, part of the funds. We are always talking about energy in all the COP, in all those negotiations. Is based on your framing, it is one of the most important issue on climate change. But why it is you believe we need a specific energy negotiation track in climate COP negotiation? Let me challenge you. You represent the youth. What added value and impact do you believe this negotiation track will bring? Why not ask how energy is affecting climate change and how climate change is affecting our energy system? This is the main important question. And this is in the negotiation we need to think. Vice versa, especially when cities consume 78% of the world energy. 78% of the world energy, producing more than 60% of greenhouse gas emission. And no one talk about it. Despite accounting for less than 2% of the Earth's surface, only 2%. They occupy 2% of the Earth's surface and they consume 78% of the energy and produce 60% of greenhouse gas emissions. That is the questions. And we ought to be prioritizing fundamental space for civil society inclusion. And this is not only extend to youth that you represent here with Yongo, but women. Women is fundamental. Marginalized communities too. You are women. And for me, this is important. No development without women. And this is where we need to discuss. This is an issue that needs to be discussed in the COP. How climate change impacts energy and how energy impacts the climate change. And in 2018, just 2018, think about it. Women accounted for 20% of the energy industry workforce, despite making up 40% of workers globally. Half of it. Half of it. It is not acceptable. I'm sorry, it is not acceptable. And we have to say it. And for me, the what is important is that the fact that there are 76% fewer women than men working in the energy sector. Where is the energy equality when we are talking in climate change negotiations? You have the energy sector, which is a fundamental issue to be discussed in climate change, and it is discussed. But it has to lead to an energy revolution, a fundamental shift of system. And that's how I see it for me. And despite the role of batteries and energy storage in sustainable energy transformation, 54%, and I'm giving you, 54% of critical mineral reserves sits in indigenous community. And as we discussed, and I know that we in our introduction, you and me, you were telling me, Riyadh, I am working on my PhD thesis about the role of indigenous community. And this is very important. More than 50% of those reserves are in indigenous communities. And that's why I'm telling you, not only we need to focus on youth, we need to focus on women, we need to focus on vulnerable communities, and we need to focus on the indigenous communities. How they can benefit, and I already said before, how they can benefit from those reserves in terms of development impact. It benefits the national level, but it also should benefit in the territories in terms of ownership, in terms of their role in the participation of making the right decision. And every day we should be working toward a sustainable energy revolution. And you are supposed to lead this revolution. I'm a person of the past. You should be leading this revolution. Yes, I'm a person of the past. I could be your father, so that's why I can say that.
Yeah.
So we need a revolution that addresses the need and ask of people themselves. And that's how I see the future of energy. And that's how I see the discussion in the climate discussion. Unless all actors are involved, all, without any exception, the success of any energy transformation will be limited, will be completely limited. And sustainable development, be it for energy, climate, gender, youth, is not about isolated regions, singular theme, or standalone initiatives. It requires a holistic approach. That's why we are UNDP. A holistic approach that ensures progress, benefit everyone, everywhere. Human development. And that's how I see it as UNDP.
Right. Valuable insights indeed, really. And this reminds me of, like your conversation at the Think Seven Summit panel, where you kind of like said energy security are kind of like deeply interlinked and connected. And I like the fact that you also like said things like, oh, while the global energy system fuels development, it drives climate change, which is what you're talking about now. We need to ask these questions. How does it affect climate change, and how does climate change also affect energy? So those are like very important questions that we need to drive. That should be our motto moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you
Um,
for following me yesterday in my intervention in 7. My God, I have a fan club. I am your fan because I like your way of thinking. I really appreciate the fact that you're pushing the border and thinking out of the box, and you are putting on the table the key issues, and that's what I love. And usually, when I talk to some youth, they tell me, "Okay, how can we have a role?" What I see in you, you are already leading. You are leading, and that's why I said you are the current generation, not of the one of the
right.
future. You are shaping our world now, and this is what we need from you. Make a transformative development. And don't wait someone to serve you on a silver platter. What is your role? Take it, lead, impact, act. And that's what I see in the young generation in climate change negotiations.
Right. Great. Thank you, Riyadh. Saika just joined us. Saika, do you want to say just we have, I mean, less than 2 minutes so that we could wrap up. Just, just say something and then we
Oh,
could
yes,
wrap
definitely. Thank you so much, first of all, for accepting our invite, Riyadh. In our working group, we actually follow your works as well. The Sustainability Bulletin, amazing. We always
Thank
read
you.
through. The most important is every reports are different, but the bulletin is different in a way that it acts upon the numbers, the data and statistics, what exactly is going on. It compares both of the scenarios, not just one scenario. So yeah, thank you so much for giving us this kind of reports as well. um, the podcast went really amazing. It was live as well. Everyone was watching. Many comments, of course. But yes, we will definitely provide you the link for the podcast after when we get the editable link. And yes, just for it's not a question, of course, as the whole podcast is being generated as a conversation, as a discussion, not just a question answer. So, what do you think that as an energy working group, as a contact person for the energy working group, and also we have Summer, who is one of the coordinator. What do you think we should emphasize on? Because of course, like getting some kind of like value addition from you would really act upon our whole advocacy policies.
First of all, thank you for reading the Sustainable Energy Bulletin. I created that because I was not interested in a newsletter about what UNDP is doing. No. It is the idea of reading many papers and thinking how we can connect the dot in terms of development. And that's why I think in those podcasts, we should not only focus on energy, but on sustainable energy for development. Because the reality is about the impact of the SDG 7 to the rest of the SDGs. And you saw me insisting many times about the human development. At the end, what I keep saying to many people, behind all those numbers, there are human beings. There are lives, there is development, there is livelihood, there is access to education, there is access to health. For me, this is the most important thing. Why are we having energy? For improving our life. Our life, for us, for you in summer, you are in Canada, in Calgary, where you have the problem of the snow outage. How AI can improve that? This is the most important thing. It is not a question about the north and the south and the south and the north. It's for all of us. And I really enjoy that you are opening the debate. I like your podcast. It is not question and answers, it's exchanging ideas, and be provocative in the debate. And this is what I'm expecting from the current generation, what we call the youth, the young ones, is mastering your issue, knowing what you want in terms of development, using sustainable energy for the real development, and leading it. And I think you need to demonstrate, and you need to continue to demonstrate, like Summit has done, and any person who is participating to this podcast, is to engage the debate, to promote it as possible as we can. That's how you can daily influence, more than just sitting in a cup of climate. Your role is not the fact that you are in a cup. You are in a cup and you are making a marvelous work. Your work is today, is every day, is every week, is every month, is every year. And that's how you can influence. And this podcast is essential, is a necessity for influencing the decision makers. And you are a decision maker. Don't forget, don't wait anyone to serve you anything on a silver platter for making a decision. Take it, make your decision. Don't wait anyone to tell you what you have to do. You know what is your future.
I think it is the fantastic piece of advice that we received till now. And of course, like it's just not the advice; it's a moral that boosted up. us, like we work all day and night as a volunteering capacity, and everyone have a goal. The same goal is like the same destination, like people centric policies, people centric solutions, not just the solutions. The solution should be catered to the problems according to region, according to communities. So definitely this podcast will, I emphasize, and also like I have a goal that this podcast should go to every corner of the world, so that people can actually like speak to us, tell us their problem, and then we can, give them a platform to understand how we can solve this problem together. So yes, thank you so much for being here,
My
and
pleasure.
that was a fantastic, conversation. Thanks, Summer and
It
Tom.
was a real honor to participate. Really, I really loved it. And use all the social media possible to promote it. And I'm going to ask also my team and myself to promote it because I really enjoy the fact that you, the youth, are leading the act. And I really was touched by the fact that you were reading the Sustainable Energy Bulletin. We're spending time in it. And I want more and more people to focus on knowledge, on substance, not only on project, but knowledge to guide us for making the right decision and putting on the table what are the challenges and what are the different solutions. Because there are solutions for each problem, there is a solution.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay. Riyad Medeb, thank you for joining us and sharing your invaluable insights. I'm sure everyone has gained one or two from your wealth of knowledge, and it's been incredibly insightful. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in into Beyond Energy Negotiations. Remember to subscribe for more essential conversations about shaping our sustainable energy future. I'm Samuel Kibe, and until next time, stay informed, stay involved, and keep pushing for change. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're no longer live. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. I didn't know if we were